My name is Sophia, and I think I was just a wallet to the man I loved. I'm 32 years old. I live in a quiet town near Portland, Oregon. I work from home as a graphic designer. My house is small, but warm. There's a soft gray couch in the living room. The windows face the garden where I planted white roses. I live a simple life now, but it didn't start that way. I was born into a rich family. My father started a company before I was born. It grew fast. It became big, really big. People knew our name. People knew my name. When I turned 25, my father gave it to me. Just like that. I became the boss. I had meetings, staff, decisions to make. But deep inside, I felt like a little girl wearing my dad's shoes. Too big. Too heavy. Everyone thought I had a perfect life. People said I was lucky. I had money, I had safety, I had everything. But they didn't see the truth. They didn't see my heart. Peace is not in things. Peace is in feelings. Peace is in a hand that holds yours without asking why. Peace is in someone who sees your tears and doesn't walk away. And for a long time, I didn't have that. This is the story of how I gave my heart to someone who never wanted it. He didn't want my laughter. He didn't want my soul. He just wanted my name. And my bank account. I met Noah at a charity event on a Sunday afternoon. The hall was full of people. There was soft music, tiny lights hanging from the ceiling, and the smell of coffee and old wood. I remember standing near the window, holding a paper cup, feeling like I didn't belong. Then I saw him. He was tall, with calm eyes and a quiet face. He wore a navy blue suit. It was clean but didn't fit perfectly, a little loose at the shoulders. His shoes had small scratches. He stood near the snack table, looking down at the cookies, like he didn't know which one to choose. When our eyes met, he smiled. It wasn't a big smile, just a soft one, a little shy. But it made something move inside my chest. It felt warm. It felt real. He walked over slowly and said, "Hi, I'm Noah." I smiled back. "Sophia." We started talking. Not about work. Not about money. We talked about books, how we both loved old bookstores that smell like paper. We talked about music, how sad songs feel more true than happy ones. He didn't try to impress me. He didn't ask where I worked, or what car I drove. He just listened. Like he wanted to know me. For the first time in years, I felt seen. Not as the boss's daughter. Not as the woman with money. Just Sophia. We met again the next week. Then again. And again. We went on walks in the park. We sat by the lake and shared sandwiches. One evening, we danced in my kitchen while soup boiled on the stove. He held my hand and spun me slowly. I laughed so hard that I cried. For 5 months, I lived in a dream. He never once asked about my family. Never once talked about money. I thought, this means something. I thought, he truly loves me. Then came the rainy afternoon. We were sitting in a small cafe, the windows foggy from the cold. Outside, people walked with umbrellas, their feet splashing in puddles. Noah reached across the table and held my hand. His fingers were cold, but his eyes were warm. He said, "Sophia, I want to grow old with you." I stared at him. My heart jumped. My hand shook. I smiled and nodded. "Yes," I whispered. We got married in autumn. The leaves were golden and red, falling like soft rain from the trees. I wore a cream-colored dress. It was light, like a cloud. He wore a dark tie and a nervous smile. Before I walked down the aisle, my mother touched my arm gently. Her voice was quiet. "Are you sure, Sophia?" I smiled. Yes. But deep inside, I wasn't sure. I was just hoping. Hoping that love was enough. Hoping that this time I was right. Hoping that Noah was different. But sometimes, hope is just a beautiful mask we wear when we're afraid to see the truth. At first, it felt real. It felt like love. Noah would wake up before me and quietly go to the kitchen. I would hear the soft clinking of plates, the sound of eggs frying, the kettle whistling. Then he would walk into the bedroom with a small tray, scrambled eggs, 2 slices of toast, and a cup of hot tea with honey. He knew how I liked it. "Good morning, sleepyhead," he would whisper, smiling as he placed the tray on my lap. I would smile back and say, "You're spoiling me." He would kiss my forehead and say, "You deserve it." Those mornings were warm. Not just because of the tea, but because of the way he looked at me, like I mattered. Like I was his whole world. In the evenings, if I worked late on my computer, he would sit next to me quietly. Sometimes he brought me snacks. Sometimes he just rested his hand on mine, no words, just warmth. We watched old movies on weekends. Curled up on the couch, our heads resting on each other's shoulders. We laughed at silly scenes, cried at sad ones. I thought, this is love. Simple. Soft. Safe. But slowly, something began to change. It started in small ways. He stopped asking how my day was. He stopped sitting beside me. He ate his food quickly and left the table without a word. At night, he would come home late, sometimes past midnight. I asked him gently, "Is everything okay?" He would say, "I'm just tired from work." But his job wasn't that hard. He worked at a small office. 9 to 5. No stress. No travel. No big meetings. Still, I believed him. I wanted to believe him. But inside, I felt something heavy. Like a quiet storm building in my chest. I felt alone, even though he was in the same house. I would sit at the dinner table and look at the empty chair across from me. I would hear the clock ticking, and it felt louder than ever. One morning, I walked outside and saw a new car in the driveway. Shiny. Black. With leather seats and a silver logo on the front. It wasn't just a car. It was expensive. Very expensive. I stood there, confused. He walked out of the house, smiling. "Do you like it?" he asked, running his hand over the smooth hood. "Noah, where did this come from?" I asked, my voice soft but shaking. He shrugged. "Don't worry. It's ours now." Later that week, he wore a new watch. Gold. Bright. He bought branded shoes. Started talking about investments and assets. Things he never cared about before. One evening, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I asked again. "Where is all this money coming from?" He looked at me, smiled, and said quietly, "We're married now, right? What's yours is mine." His words hit me like cold water. I stood there, silent. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But instead, I just nodded. Because in that moment, I realized, maybe he never loved me. Maybe he only loved my last name. My bank account. My world. And now, it felt like I was no longer standing in it. I was just watching it disappear, one expensive gift at a time. That night, I lay in bed beside him. The room was dark, and the air felt cold. I was facing the wall, my back to him. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just lay there, quiet, still, and broken. Tears ran down my face. Slowly. Silently. I tried not to make a sound. I didn't want to wake him. Or maybe I did. Maybe I wanted him to notice. To ask, "Sophia, what's wrong?" To turn over and hold me. To say, "I love you. I'm here." But he didn't. He kept breathing slowly. Steady. Like nothing was wrong. Like I wasn't crying beside him. And I thought, maybe he did hear me. Maybe he knew I was crying, and he just turned the other way. That thought hurt more than anything. I stared at the wall in the dark and tried to remember. I tried to remember the man I fell in love with. He had warm, soft eyes. He used to look at me like I was magic. He used to hold my hand gently, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He used to say, "Sophia, you make everything better." Where did that man go? Was he ever real? Or did I only see what I wanted to see? The next morning, I went into the garden. I often went there when I couldn't breathe. It was quiet, and the roses were in full bloom, red, soft, and open to the sky. I sat on the bench near the corner, where no one could see me. I picked one small petal and held it between my fingers. It felt smooth, like silk. I looked at it and whispered to myself, "He doesn't love you, Sophia. He loves what you give him." My voice was small, shaky, like a child talking to the wind. The roses didn't answer, but they listened. I sat there for a long time. Birds flew above. Leaves moved in the breeze. Somewhere, a dog barked in the distance. Life was happening, but I felt frozen. Still, even after everything, I loved him. I loved the way he laughed at my bad jokes. He used to throw his head back and say, "That's terrible," but he was smiling the whole time. I loved his messy hair in the morning, soft curls that never stayed in place. I used to run my fingers through it while he pretended to sleep. I loved the way he looked when he was reading, eyebrows down, lips slightly open, eyes full of focus. But more than all that, I loved the version of him I met. The version who listened. The version who made me feel safe. The version who danced with me in the kitchen when the soup was boiling. The version who held my face in his hands and whispered, "You're my home." That version is gone now. But my heart, it still remembers. And some nights, that memory is all I have. My best friend, Sarah, came to visit one weekend. It had been a long time. She lived in another city now, but we used to be like sisters. We grew up together. She knew how I looked when I was happy, and when I was pretending. When I opened the door, she smiled and gave me a big hug. She smelled like vanilla and clean air. But then she pulled back and looked at my face carefully. Her smile faded a little. "You look tired," she said softly. I laughed a little, a small, dry laugh. "I'm just working too much," I replied, trying to smile. I didn't want her to worry. But I knew she could see through me. That evening, we sat at the dinner table. I had made roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and a simple salad. The food looked nice, but I didn't feel like eating. Noah was quiet during dinner. He kept looking at his phone, scrolling, typing, laughing softly to himself. He didn't even notice Sarah's new haircut. He didn't ask her how her job was going. He didn't say much at all. I kept glancing at him, hoping he would look at me. He didn't. After dinner, Noah said, "I have to take a call," and walked out of the room. Sarah waited until she couldn't hear his footsteps anymore. Then she leaned in and whispered, "Are you happy, Sophia?" I stared at my plate. The potatoes were cold now. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe that this was just a hard phase. That love always comes back if you wait long enough. Instead, I said, I think he needs time. He's under stress. Sarah didn't answer right away. She just looked at me. Then she reached across the table and held my hand. Her hand was warm. Gentle. You're not a machine, Sophia, she said. You deserve to be loved too. Her words went straight into my heart. They stayed there. Quiet. Heavy. That night, after she went to bed, I stood in front of the mirror. I saw a woman I didn't recognize. Eyes tired. Shoulders low. A fake smile still sitting on my lips, like a mask I couldn't remove. I walked into the shower and turned the water on. Hot. Very hot. I let it run over my face. Over my eyes. Over my lips. And I cried. I cried so hard my chest hurt. But the water was louder than my sobs. He couldn't hear me. Maybe he didn't want to. I covered my mouth with my hand, not to stay quiet, but because I was afraid if I let go, everything inside me would come out at once. Pain. Anger. Love. Regret. All of it. And still, I loved him. And that was the part that hurt the most. It was a quiet Sunday morning. The house smelled like toast and warm coffee. Sunlight came through the kitchen window, soft and golden. I was cleaning the counter, folding a towel, and humming a little to myself, an old love song I didn't even like anymore. That's when I saw his laptop. It was open. Sitting right there on the counter. I wasn't trying to look. I swear I wasn't. But a message popped up on the screen. And I saw it. Just a few words, but enough to change everything. It was from someone named Anna. It said, "You're doing great. Once you get enough, you know what to do." I froze. My hand stopped moving. The towel dropped to the floor. The words kept ringing in my head. Once you get enough. Enough what? Money? Time? Me? I stood there, staring at the screen. My heart started beating faster. My fingers began to shake. My breath felt heavy in my chest. I didn't want to believe it. I told myself it could be work. A joke. A mistake. But deep inside, I knew. That cold, quiet voice inside me whispered, "This is it, Sophia." I closed the laptop slowly. My hands felt numb. My legs were weak. I sat down on the kitchen chair and just stared at the floor. Hours passed. I didn't eat. I didn't move. I just waited. When Noah came home, the sun was already setting. The light outside had turned soft and pink. He placed his keys on the table and said, "Hey." I looked at him. My voice was quiet. "Who is Anna?" He paused for a second. His eyes narrowed. "Just a friend," he said quickly. Too quickly. I didn't blink. I didn't look away. She said, "Once you get enough." My voice was shaking now. "What does that mean, Noah?" His face changed. Like a door closing. He raised his voice. "Why are you looking at my messages?" I didn't mean to. It just popped up. He cut me off. "You're spying on me? Do you not trust me now?" I looked at him, and in that moment, I saw someone I didn't know. Not the man who laughed at my jokes. Not the man I believed in. This was someone cold. Distant. Angry. "I just want the truth," I whispered. He didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket and walked out. The front door closed hard behind him. I sat there in the quiet kitchen. The clock ticked on the wall. The coffee had gone cold. The toast was still on the plate. But I didn't move. He didn't come back that night. And something inside me broke. The next morning, the house was very quiet. The sky outside was pale blue, with soft white clouds. The wind touched the curtains gently, like a whisper. I walked to the kitchen and made myself some tea. The sound of the kettle boiling filled the silence. I didn't rush. I poured the hot water slowly, letting the steam warm my face. I took my cup and sat by the window. The light was soft, like a quiet apology from the sun. Like the world was saying, "I'm sorry you're hurting." I wrapped a blanket around my shoulders and just sat there, thinking. I was 32 years old. But that morning, I felt like I was 90. My back hurt. My heart hurt more. I stared out at the trees and the little birds. Life was still moving. The world didn't stop for my sadness. And I remembered something. A version of me that felt like a dream. The girl who danced in the kitchen, barefoot. The girl who laughed at silly things. The girl who believed love was magic. Where did she go? I closed my eyes, and tears rolled down my cheeks. She didn't die, I told myself. She just got tired. Tired of waiting. Tired of hoping. Tired of giving love and getting silence. I loved Noah. I loved him deeply. Honestly. But he didn't love me back. Not really. He loved the life I gave him. The money. The comfort. But not me. And that's when I finally understood. Love is not a one-way road. If someone walks away again and again, and you keep standing there, that's not love. That's pain. Later that day, I walked into the bedroom. I pulled out a small suitcase from under the bed. I opened the closet. Slowly, I folded a few clothes. Just what I needed. I didn't take everything. I didn't want to. I didn't want to carry the whole past with me. Only myself. Only peace. When Noah came home that evening, the sky was turning orange. He opened the door, smiling a little. "Hey." He looked at the suitcase. Then he looked at me. "I'm leaving," I said softly. He stared at me. His smile disappeared. "What? Are you serious? You're overreacting." I shook my head, calm but tired. "No. I'm not." I took a deep breath. My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed still. "You married me for money. But I loved you. And that love, it deserves more than this." He said nothing. And I didn't wait. I picked up my suitcase, walked to the door, and stepped outside. The evening air was cool on my face. I didn't know where I was going yet. But for the first time in a long time, I was choosing myself. And that felt like the beginning of something real. After I left, I moved into a small apartment near the lake. It's not big. Just one bedroom, a little kitchen, and a window with a view of the water. But it's mine. Only mine. The walls are white and empty, but they feel calm. There is no shouting. No silence that feels heavy. Just stillness. I bought a small plant from the market, a green one with tiny leaves. I placed it near the window, where the sun comes in every morning. I named it Hope. Sometimes, I talk to it. I say, "We're starting over, you and me." It doesn't answer, of course. But it listens. Some days, I cry. I don't hide in the shower anymore. I cry in the open. On the couch. In bed. While holding a warm cup of tea. Healing isn't a straight road. It's slow. Sometimes quiet. Sometimes loud. There are nights I wake up and miss the sound of his voice. Not because it was kind, but because it was familiar. Because I got used to being near him even if it hurt. But I also smile more now. I smile when I see the light hit the lake in the morning. I smile when I smell fresh bread from the bakery down the street. I smile when I dance barefoot in my kitchen again, even if no one is watching. I cook simple food. I sit by the window with my tea. And I write letters. Letters to him. Letters to myself. Letters I never send. They begin with, "Dear Sophia, I'm proud of you." And sometimes, I believe it. I forgave him. Not because he asked me to. Not because he said sorry. But because I needed to breathe again. Carrying anger was too heavy. so I let it go. I still feel sad, yes. But sadness is soft now. Not sharp. Now, I'm learning to love myself. Not in a big, loud way, but in small steps. I take walks. I listen to the birds. I speak kindly to the girl in the mirror. She is not perfect, but she is healing. And that is enough. If you're still here, still listening, thank you. It means more than you know. I shared my story with an open heart. Not because it was easy, but because I know someone out there might feel the same. Maybe you feel the same. Has your heart ever felt like mine? Tired, lonely, full of love for someone who couldn't give it back. Have you ever smiled in front of others, but cried in secret? Have you ever waited for a message, a hug, a kind word that never came? If your answer is yes, I want you to know you are not alone. Truly. Right now, maybe you're sitting in your room with soft lights and quiet music. Maybe you're walking home, feeling the cold wind on your face. Or lying in bed, holding your phone, with tears in your eyes. Wherever you are, I see you. I feel you. Your pain is real. Your story matters. I may not know your name, but I care. We can heal together. Slowly. Kindly. If this story touched your heart, please, leave a comment. Tell me your story, even just a little. Even just one sentence. Let's create a space where broken hearts can rest. Where we can say, I understand you. Please like this video, and share it with someone who might need a quiet hug through words. Someone who feels lost, but still hopes for light. And before you go, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? I'd love to know. Because even if we are far apart, our hearts can meet here.